Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. Today I will first give you some updates on the COVID outbreaks in China. Then I will show you some CCP internal secret documents which can prove that Chinese people are dying, starving, and suffering for the sake of the Beijing Winter Olympics. I also have some updates regarding the disappearance of Li Zhanshu, the third most powerful CCP leader. And lastly, I will show you some figures about how badly the population drop in China is and how much worse it could be in the future. So make sure you stick around till the end. Anyang City in Henan Province, which has a population of 5.5 million, was locked down yesterday. That's January the 10th, because of the spread of Omicron. Let's watch a video first. It shows that on January 9th, 4,040 students in Yucai School in Tangyin County in Anyang City were all taken away for centralized quarantine. All 4,040 students were taken away after 9 tested positive for COVID. Right now, all residents in Anyang City are required to stay at home, and all vehicles are also banned. All businesses, schools, public transportation, outgoing trains, and long-distance buses, etc., are closed. Taxis can only drive around within the city. The official figure is, as of today, Anyang has 84 confirmed new cases in this round of outbreak. So up to now, 13 million people in Xi'an city, 5.5 million in Anyang, and 1.1 million in Yuzhou city in Henan province are all under total lockdown. That is nearly 20 million people. Apart from Henan province, Wuxi city in Jiangsu province also reported 1 Omicron case yesterday. A Chinese industrial expert said to a Chinese media outlet that the spread of Omicron might affect Apple's largest production line in the world. Apple has nearly 10,000 direct employees in China, and millions are working in its supply chain. Foxconn has 3 factories in Zhengzhou City, which is the main production site for iPhone, with over 90 production lines and about 350,000 workers. Therefore, if the situation can't be controlled soon, these workers will be restricted from going out to work. As a result, production will be affected. The expert said that cell phone factories usually have 2 to 8 weeks of parts and other materials in stock, which will be enough to provide a buffer in the short term in the event of an outbreak. But if the pandemic continues to run rampant, and in this era of light inventory, the impact of supply chain disruptions is bound to come quickly. However, a Foxconn spokesman said that the current situation has not had an impact on its production capacity. Internal documents exclusively obtained by the Chinese edition of the Epoch Times show that people are dying, starving, and suffering for the sake of the Beijing Winter Olympics. This is a speech made on December 24th by Zhao Yide, governor of Shanxi province. Please remember that Xi'an is the capital city of Shanxi province, and it has been locked down since December 23rd. This speech from Zhao Yide was as long as 5,300 words, but in that long speech, Zhao only used 3 sentences to talk about how to ensure daily supplies for people under lockdown, and even the purpose for that is to ensure the overall stability. The main message of his speech made on the following day of the lockdown of Xi'an is about how to ensure that nothing goes wrong with the Beijing Winter Olympics. After talking about how the virus has spread to Xi'an and Xianyang city, he said, quote, "What's more serious is that the Winter Olympics is about to be held. The pandemic in our province has spread to Guangdong, Beijing, Henan, and Shanxi. If there's another spillover, the risk of the pandemic will likely trigger a systematic risk, adding chaos to the overall situation of our country and discrediting our national image," unquote. The instruction he gave was how to use the strictest and the most extreme ways to fight the pandemic to break the transmission chain with the toughest measure. This speech was passed on to Xi'an City as a confidential document with a note that the original copy should be returned to the confidential document office. This is a document issued by the Agricultural and Rural Bureau in Xi'an City on December 28th. That was the 6th day of Xi'an's lockdown, when many people were starving and dying. And what does this document say? It is mainly about how to ensure the supplies for the Winter Olympics. The second subtitle of this document is Strict Control of the Base for the Winter Olympics. It requires counties to deploy special personnel to implement on-site supervision to ensure the quality of the supplies for the Winter Olympics and to strictly control the level of pesticide residues. And this page of the document requires that local governments should strictly monitor what people are talking about during the Winter Olympics. Real-time dynamic monitoring should be put in place to reduce the negative impact. If there are inaccurate reports, malicious speculations, etc., local officials should take the initiative to respond and speak out in a timely manner, etc. So that's the main concern of the Agriculture and Rural Bureau in Xi'an City. Now look at this post on January 9th. This user said that her boyfriend in Xi'an had been locked down at home for more than 20 days. Although the government promised that food supplies would be ensured, these items in the photo are the only things that her boyfriend got in more than 20 days. Only one delivery in more than 20 days. Now her boyfriend had run out of everything and was starving. She desperately asked for help. Next, I have one update on the whereabouts of Li Zhanshu, the third most powerful CCP member and chairman of the Standing Committee of the CCP's National People's Congress. After disappearing from the public eye for more than 10 days, he re-emerged at a CCP meeting today. Let me show you a photo. While he didn't talk during the meeting, CCTV did give him a 1-second shot to show that he was in the meeting. So the most likely reason for his disappearance could be a health issue. but the fact that at least 3 different sources, including one largest Chinese language newspaper in Hong Kong, a former CCP discipline inspection officer, all said that Li Zhanshu was removed for corruption, reflects how intense the power struggles within the CCP must be. Different factions are releasing conflicting information to give their opponents a big blow. And in the dark box of the CCP's dark politics, the health status of the leaders is also top secret. Finally, I will talk about an article that has sparked hot debates and a very important issue for China: population drops. Yesterday, not this one. Yesterday, Chinese economist Ren Zhiping published a long article titled "The Solution to Low Fertility is Found: China Fertility Report." So what is the solution he has found? He suggests that the Chinese central bank print an additional 2 trillion yuan each year to set up a fund and to use this fund to encourage people to have more children. He said the goal is to have 50 million more children in 10 years. And he also mentioned this policy should be implemented as soon as possible, as one cannot expect young people who were born after 1990 to have more children. He said only those women who were born between 1975 and 1985 could feel attracted by this policy. You know, women who were born between 1975 and 1985 are already 37 to 47 years old. That's why he said we must hurry up. The window is very narrow. He actually did an online poll for his suggestion. It shows that out of the 7,822 people who responded, 4,903 people supported his idea, while 2,919 people did not. And the number one reason why people don't want to have children is the cost of having children is too high and it affects quality of life. The number two reason is that the house prices and living costs are too high. And the number three reason is that they don't want to have their children grow up to become chiefs like themselves that will be raped by those in power. Chinese people use the term chiefs to refer to themselves, and they feel they are raped by the authorities again and again. They regard the CCP as the sickle that rapes them. Why did Ren Zhiping say that you cannot rely on people who were born after 1990 to have children? According to the data of the Ministry of Civil Affairs of China, out of 170 million young people who were born in the 1990s, just over 10 million couples or 20 million people got married. So that's only 11.7% people got married. Isn't that number terrifying? Recently, an anonymous author published an article in Chinese titled Top 10 Predictions for China in 2022. One of his predictions is the total number of births in China were 4 to 8 million in 2022, and China's birth rate will be one of the lowest in the world. It was estimated that in 2022, the total number of births in China is somewhere between 9.38 million and 9.6 million. And look at this chart. The gray line represents the number of marriages from 2013 to 2013 to 2020. The yellow line represents the number of married people who were under 40 years old. The blue line represents the birth numbers, and the orange line represents the number of families that only had one child. So you can see that all the numbers keep dropping, and in 2020, the number of new births was about 12 million. But in 2021, it dropped to below 10 million. And for the first time in many hundreds of years, there were fewer births than deaths in China. So China had a net loss of people for the first time in 2022. If the number of new births dropped to below 8 million this year, and if only 11% of the people who were born in the 1990s got married, given the aging population, we can only imagine how sharp the drop in population will be from now on. Now you understand why Ren Zheping would suggest that the central bank print 2 more trillion yuan per year to encourage people to have more children. Will his suggestion be adopted? I seriously doubt it. Even if it is adopted, once a trend has formed, it is hard to turn it around in a short time. The CCP had spent decades implementing its one-child policy, and hundreds of millions of unborn babies were killed. How can you turn this around in just 10 years with some extra 2 trillion yuan? Young people in China now are talking about lying flat. They don't want to work hard, earn more money, have a family, or raise children. It is very hard to turn this mentality around with some extra money. It is a very complex social phenomenon with many, many factors involved. You cannot just resolve it by printing some extra money. Well, that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to check your subscription status and to like and share my videos. If you could, please also consider becoming a member and making a donation at my website, jenniferzengblog.com. Thank you. See you soon.